Today we're looking at Athenaze 7 Alpha. I'm going to take you through the first couple lines together, and then we will take a look at the real story, which I think starts on line 7. This follows up on the story of Theseus and the Minotaur that came from Athenaze 6, and we start right here. Epe, when she finishes the story, and I know that the subject is a he or she or it, because my ending here is A. We went over those endings in class. When she finishes the story, who are we talking about? That epsilon iota tells me I need a nominative, and here you see the article hey tells me that that's my subject. So when Marine finishes the story, comma, Melita, here's another subject, Melita, hos kalos estin hamuthos. How beautiful estin is the story. And hamuthos, this ha, tells me it's a nominative singular. It's the subject of a verb, and the verb is going to be here, estin. How beautiful is the story? And you'll notice the quotes tell us I have the verb says at the end. So Melita says, how beautiful is the story. Period. Lege, this is a command form, an imperative ending. Tell to us, this is a dative form. Tell to us, ἀλλών, another, some story. In English, we would reverse this to say, tell to us some other, ἀλλών, some other story. O mater. Now this article you'll recognize is the vocative case for direct address. We use this article to signal that we're talking to someone. So, O mother, lege, tell to us some other muthon, some other story. Period. Hede, and, here's the subject form again, and he marine. And marine, facing, says, udamos, not at all, no way. Why is she saying that? Gar, because, now, noon, and in my noe, in my mind, echo, I have, remember this whole phrase, and no echo means I intend. Because now I intend, ta dapnon, the dinner, para sko adzane. Para sko adzane. I prepare to prepare dinner. I intend to prepare dinner. Remember this ending ain is going to be, Andrew Webb? That's right, an infinitive. And how do we translate those, Cal? Correct, we translate them as to verb, right? So this verb means prepare. So now, noon, I intend, and no echo. And after that, we really want to say an infinitive. I intend to prepare ta dapnon. I intend to prepare dinner. Un, therefore, on the one hand, hey Melita, Melita, what does she do? Da crue, oh no, she cries. De, on the other hand, ha, subject form, ha Philippos, Philip, facin, says, me, da crue. Now this form me is the not form, the negative form, when you're using a command. So, don't cry, he says. O Melita. There's your vocative case again, speaking to Melita. Don't cry, Melita, he says. Quote, ego, this is a pronoun, subject form, nominative. I, ethelo, Here's the omega ending again. We looked at these at the beginning of May. I wish, I intend, I want, soy, dative case, to you, muthon, a story, kalon, a beautiful story, I wish, legain. Here's that ending again, Andrew Webb. What does that ending signify? Correct, an infinitive. Good. And how do we translate those infinitives, Aldo? Okay, you know what? If Aldo, you don't know it by now, McGrail, Mr. Chris, how do you translate the legain? Good. Yeah, two verbs. So, I wish, legain, to tell a beautiful story, soy, to you. Perī, about. Now be careful here, this word andros, this ending is actually genitive singular, even though this ending os looks like the one we have up here in muthos and philippos also. But this is a genitive. I want to tell you a good story about a man, and we're going to describe this man as polutropou. You guys last year probably said skilled in all ways of contending. Onomati, named Odysseus, named Odysseus. Now we're going to go to the second paragraph here, starting in line 7, and I'll mark this one up to show you cases and numbers. Odysseus, here's my subject. Odysseus, ἐπίπτειν Troian, right? Ἐπίπτειν Troian, here's a prepositional phrase. Epi here is going to mean the same thing as when we memorize this preposition pros. So Odysseus to, both of those prepositions take the accusative. To Troy, what is he doing? Play, he sails. So Odysseus, notice here's my subject form, right? Odysseus sails, ἐπίπτειν Troian, to Troy, μετὰ, with, and when I get this with preposition, I need to follow it up with a noun in the genitive case. Odysseus sails to Troy, μετὰ, with someone in the genitive case, and everyone knows this guy's name, Ἀγαμέμνον. Odysseus sails to Troy with Ἀγαμέμνον and another genitive. So let's call Ἀγαμέμνονος, let's call him genitive 1, with Ἀγαμέμνον and with genitive number 2, with the Achaeans. Δέκα ἐταίρους. Deka means 10. Ete means years. And these are in the accusative case. That's not a direct object anymore. We've seen this in our Way to Greek book. That's called the accusative extent or duration of time. And if you get confused how to translate this, where could you look, Declan? Where could you look to figure this out? Correct, at the bottom here where it says Deka ete, for 10 years. So for 10 years, perī Troian, around Troy, what do? Mάχονται, they fight. This ending ontai is going to be third person plural. This is what's called the middle voice. We've seen this a couple times in Athenaze, but I want you to remember that this is third person plural. So Will Spino, remember we talked about this yesterday. If I say something is third person plural, then I know the pronoun in English is going to be what, Will? They, correct. So on the one hand, men, they fight around Troy for 10 years, de, but on the other hand, here's your adverb, finally, what do? ἀļροῦσιν, they take or they capture, tain πόλιν, there's your direct object. They capture the city. And you remember here, this ending ūsin is also third plural. Ryan C., you had asked about this, and remember, the new ending tells us that that's going to be followed by a vowel, which is ha. Moving on in line 9, here's my subject again, Odysseus. Right? So therefore, and so, here's the word for therefore. Therefore, Odysseus, what does he do? Keleue, we know this verb. Right? He orders. And whom does he order? Tοὺς ἑταίρους. Now I know that tοὺς ἑταίρους is accusative because I know my article, tοὺς, and I know that that's going to be the direct object of the verb keleue. So Odysseus, here's our subject, right? The main verb keleue. Therefore, Odysseus orders his comrades, eis tas nous. Eis means into, and you remember when I have this preposition eis, what follows it in English should be a noun that appears in the accusative case. So into the ships, Odysseus orders his companions into the ships, and when you see the verb to order, you really want to get an infinitive, which is right here, eis by name. So here's your infinitive ending. Andrew Webb, what does the infinitive ending translate into? Correct, it translates into to. So Odysseus, keleue, orders his companions, eis by name, to go into the ships. And that's accusative plural. And I know that it's plural because the article over here is accusative and it's plural. And ἀποπλεῖν Troias, and away from Troy. You know that that is going to be genitive singular because of this preposition ἀπό. And away from Troy, oíkadε, homeward, ἀποπλεῖν, they sail. Now there are two words in here, right? Pleo, which is the verb to sail, and then the preposition ἀπό, which means away. So when you translate that, just make sure you put both words in there. They sail away from Troy. And again, we have this ending hypέχουσιν, which is third person plural. The preposition, the pronoun in English, is going to be they. Now before you ask about it, I will point this out. Sometimes Greek doubles up on the preposition just to let you know exactly what's happening. Odysseus is ordering his men, eis by name, to walk onto, and there's eis again, onto the ships. And away from Troy, here's ἀπό, they sail away. So sometimes when you see these compound verbs, right, eis by name and ἀποπλεῖν, they're accompanied by prepositional phrases that use the same preposition that you see on the verb. Έντετε hodō. Prepositional phrase again. And you'll see the endings te, hodō. And those are dative singular endings. Because in this prepositional phrase, the preposition en must be followed by a noun in the dative case. So on the way, πολλά kai δεινά, many and awful, terrible things, pásχουσιν, they suffer. The verb πάσκω means to suffer. The ending hypέχουσιν means they. I do want to point out, though, this ending πολλά, this ending δεινά, these are neuter and they're plural endings because they're red. They're accusative. I'm trying to show you they're accusative. And ta would be the article that goes with these two words. So if you have a neuter plural, many, and terrible, we can add the word things in English, and that will kind of make it a little more sensible. In English also, we get rid of this word kai, and instead we just say on the way, they suffer, ἀḻούς, and then we would say in English, many terrible things. Now you'll notice here, too, the word things is not in the Greek. It's not expressed in a Greek word. It's implied because you have a neuter plural set of endings. And then what happens next? Πολλάκις, this is just an adverb. Πολλάκις, men, gar, χειμώνας, right? Χειμώνας, that's accusative, plural. If you want to compare it, it does match up with tas, the article tas. And that's how I can tell it's accusative, plural. So Πολλάκις often storms, χειμώνας, ὑπέχουσιν. So here's your main verb, ὑπέχουσιν. Hypeko means to undergo, maybe encounter, and here you see it again down here. So they undergo, here's your ending for they. On the way, they suffer many terrible things, gar, because often they undergo storms, and again, Πολλάκις, and often, ἀλλούς, kindynus, μεγίστους, and into other kindynus, dangers, they fall. So, and often they fall into other dangers. And the word μεγίστους looks like the word for large or great, but when it's got this little infix here, this ist in the middle, that's the same as our est at the end of an adjective. So instead of mega, which means big, this would be translated as biggest. If you're not, however, talking about more than one thing, sometimes it's just better to say very big or very large or very great. So use that word very instead. Oftentimes they undergo storms, and oftentimes they fall into ἀλλούς, kindynus, μεγίστους, other very great dangers.